Welcome to Picture This. I'm your host, Preston Luke. Well, hello, and welcome to the Picture This podcast. I'm your host, Preston. Preston Luke is my name. And wow, I cannot believe we are here right now. Like, this is official. This is really happening. I've got a camera. I have a mic. I have a light in front of me. I have a light here. We are in my studio. I almost said we are in a studio, but we are in my studio. And, speaking of studio and my studio, I'm really realizing how loud it is. Can you hear the siren that just turned off? Like, I have never noticed this. I've taken many photos in this studio, and I've never noticed how loud it is until I started, getting ready for the podcast. And it's like there's a busy road right here, and you can hear all the cars driving by, the ambulance, the motorcycle, and then I'm a part of a coffee shop is where my studio is at. And so you can kind of hear people walking through, and there's like doors slamming, and I'm like, man, this thing is loud. So you're in my studio right now, but this might be the last time you hear or see the podcast inside of my studio. We might be moving to a different recording location, but if you still see it, then that means you don't hear it. But welcome to Picture This. I cannot believe I am, doing this, because I have said for a long time that, I'm not doing a podcast. I have had a podcast before with two of my best photo friends, and it just didn't work out because of, where we were at in our lives at the time and where we live. We all lived in 3 separate time zones. And so not only did we have to plan to record together, that's already enough for 3 people, but we were all in 3 different time zones. So it's like, 10 a.m. for one person, noon for another person, and then a 1 for another person. And so I can't just get up and record at, 8 a.m. for myself. It's like, okay, well, what is this person doing? And is this person also available at this time? So we were like, you know what? This isn't going to work out in the long run. Like, it's just like we all need to just live together so we can do it full time. But that wasn't the case. And, that wasn't in the cards for us and for me, but I think this is something I'm super excited about. I think it's going to be a really big passion project for me, and two, a creative outlet for me, and just a new little adventure that I'm super excited about. And one thing about me is I love to yap, and I always have an opinion on something. So, why not share it on the podcast? And I'm not forcing anyone to listen or watch this podcast. So if you're here, I appreciate you. Thank you for at least showing your support for the first episode. But hopefully I can convince you to stay and hang out while we go through this thing called Picture This. So I have to also give another shout out to one of my amazing friends, Lindsay. She helped me with like the name and all of this, like basically like the brain behind Picture This. I was like, I really want to start a podcast, but I couldn't think of anything to call it. And I was like, I don't want to be basic and call it the Preston Luke podcast, even though my name has kind of become my brand, that I've done that purposefully. But I was like, I can do something better. And she was like, okay, picture this. And I was like, no, literally picture this. That's genius. So, and then Picture This was born. So I have created this podcast, but I want it to be kind of clear from like the beginning that this is not strictly a photography podcast. So I have this podcast because I'm passionate about multiple things. I'm going to grab my little handy dandy cellular device because this is my first episode, and I made a little notes list. Sue me. So this podcast, I have it for, not just people that follow me and that are photographers, but, I want to like go into the lifestyle and, fashion, fitness, photography, everything that kind of shapes my brand. So not just photography, but everything within my life and what I do. Because if you are new to following me, or maybe you just have followed me within like the last couple months, you maybe not know this, but I like dabble in a ton of stuff. I am always finding new things to get into and forming new opinions. So, this podcast is not strictly a photography podcast. That has been done, that is being done by some amazing creatives already. And there's no need for me just to be doing that. So, I'm here just to, be that lighthearted background noise that we all need every once in a while. You can find this, of course, you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and hopefully you go on YouTube and check this out on YouTube as well, because we are recording and you can see me on YouTube. I don't know if I like it or not. I don't know if I would rather, record in my bed, in my sheets and just like be chilling like how Emma Chamberlain used to do. But visual podcasts, I love. Like, I love watching podcasts. So we're trying it. We're doing it all. We're like going from 0 to 100 real quick. So let's kind of talk about like, who am I? Like my backstory. So we're gonna like talk about. I guess we're gonna go. Well, I was born. No, I'm just kidding. Kind of like my public journey. So I started photography in 2016. So I was graduating high school in 2016. So 2015, I was asking for a camera for my graduation. And I was like, you know what? I already have a computer. I feel like so many people get a computer for graduation, to take to college, which makes perfect sense. I already had one. So I was like, you know what? I need a camera. And I wanted a camera because one, I was really interested in photography, but two, I did not apply myself in high school like I should have. I'll be the first one to say it. I just didn't care. And so I had zero scholarships for college, but I was going to go to college. And so I was like, I need help to pay for it. So we are going to get a camera and we're going to figure this out. And we're going to start a photography business. And that's going to help me pay for my college. I was immediately delusional from the get go. And I'm known for being delusional. So got a camera for my graduation, and I just started, taking photos of everything, specifically like my friends. And I would just we would go after school, we would go out to downtown and just start taking some photos. And people were like, wow, these are amazing. You're doing like, these are so good. They would hype me up like no one's business. And now that I look at them, I'm like, okay, be so for real. These photos are so mid. Like, they're so mid, but my friends were very good looking and they were pretty, and there's a horn going off outside. Wow. Anyways, so my friends were just pretty, and that's what made the photos look good. So the photos weren't really that good. It was really just, good looking people. So if you have a good looking person and a good looking subject, it's not too hard to take a good photo. But learning your camera and learning your gear definitely comes in the mix somehow in some way. And I learned it, and I created a little photo business from taking photos of my friends. And I was lucky because my siblings were right under me. So I had another brother that was graduating 2 years after I did, and then I had twin siblings graduating 4 years after I did. So I like basically had built-in clients because I had their friends also that I was able to take photos of. So after about 2.5-ish years of going to college, I went from different jobs of like working at the movie theater, and then I worked at Walmart for a really long time for about 2 years right after high school. And I was at Walmart, school, and a photo business. And then it was the summer, and I was like, okay, I am going on vacation. So I'm taking off work for like a week and a half. Like, I don't even remember where I was going, but I was leaving town. So I took off work from photo shoots, and I took off work from Walmart for a week and a half, went on vacation, and then I came back, and I hadn't gone back to work yet. I was looking at my calendar and I was like, wait a second. I am booked for photo shoots for like months. Like, I have lots of photo shoots scheduled. I don't need to be working at Walmart because these photos, like, I'm making more money doing photo shoots than I am working at Walmart. What am I doing? So I never went back to Walmart from that day. I sadly never even called them and told them that I was just not coming in or giving them my 2 weeks. I just stopped showing up, which is a bad practice. Don't do that. I do not recommend doing that. I was just a stupid, however old I was. I was 19, 20. I was 20 years old. I was just dumb. Okay. And we all make dumb decisions, especially whenever we're young. I made dumb decisions whenever I was 20. I made dumb decisions whenever I was 20, and was full time at my business, but I didn't show up to Walmart. I quit Walmart, and I also quit going to school. I had gone for 2 years, and I was like, screw this. I'm going to figure this out, and I'm just going to be an entrepreneur, and I'm going to be a photographer. And so I hit the ground running at 20 years old, and I was like, let's do this. And so from then, I had built a really big, name for myself as a high school senior photographer. And I live in Missouri, and so I live really, really close to Arkansas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and then of course I'm in Missouri, and that's called the fourth state area. That's kind of like everyone knows it as. And so I live really close to some four major cities in those states. And so I was able to create a very large high school senior clientele where I live, because all of these people were traveling to me and coming to, see me and where I live, and for me to take their senior photos, which is so cool. And I'm so thankful for. And I honestly can't believe it was what it was. Um, it was the biggest blessing to my life, and I'm so thankful for each and every individual that I've come across that has supported my business and that has let me capture, that milestone in memory for them. I side note, of course, dabbled in some weddings. I've done my share of weddings. I don't love doing it full time, but I do enjoy doing weddings, just not like I can't I can't do like 30 weddings a year like some people do. That's insane. But I give you major props to that. And yeah, so I did high school seniors for a really long time. It was like, years. And by that, and by living where I told you that I lived, I had kind of built a decent following on Instagram. I think by 2017 or 2018, I had surpassed like 10,000 on Instagram, which, whenever you're like building a following and you're trying to build a community, hitting 10K is massive. Like that, like once you hit 10 and then the K is next to your name, you're like, I've made it. Like this is all I wanted. Which is crazy that we think it like that. Like we put all of our hope in followings and stuff, but it's just how we are as humans, I guess. But I hit 10K in 2018, and I was like, word, I just did that. And I was like so proud of myself because I had been working hard and all that stuff. But after that had happened, I kind of plateaued on social media. And, from about 2018 to 2021, maybe 2022. What year are we in? 2025? Okay, so 20 through 2022, because it was 2020. Let's see, I'm trying to think in my head right now. Yeah, so it was 2023. I was like between 10,000 to 20,000. So for like 4 or 5 years, I was stuck at, between 10 to 20,000 followers. And so I, kind of went up here and there. And then out of nowhere, I started posting my behind the scenes, and I started posting behind the scenes mic'd up, like with a mic on, where you could hear my voice. And I just posted a few of those in the fall of 2023. That's correct. I had to really think about that. So in the fall of 2023, I started posting behind the scenes, and out of nowhere it just like went crazy. Like crazy crazy. Like I think I posted two or three videos, and by the second or third video, it my video had hit like 7 million views in like 4 or 5 days, which is crazy. And then that same video that hit 7 million views, that same video that hit 7 million views helped me get to 100,000 followers. So I went from 20,000 followers to 100,000 followers in 4 days, which is crazy to think about. I'm like thinking about that now and like, wow, that's insane. And so I know how social media works, and I know that once you post on social media and you have a video that does really well, you have traction, and you're getting eyes on your page, and you're in the algorithm. So do not stop. So if you blow up on social media and you have a video go viral, don't stop posting there. Keep going. Ride that wave because it's just going to help you and it's going to keep you going in the algorithm. So I did that, kept on posting, and let's see here. That was in November whenever I hit 100K. And every month, consistently, almost on the dot of 30-ish days, I would go and grow up to have, I think, another 100,000. So it was like December 100K, January 100K, and by the summertime, actually it was more like the springtime, but by the springtime I had hit like five or 600,000 followers on Instagram, and I think I'm about 200 ish on TikTok. And so, which is crazy. Like that does not happen. And everyone was like, "You're buying followers. You're doing this." I'm like, okay, well, if I was buying followers, you would know because like my views would also not be good. Like I would be a poor man because if I was paying for all the views and all the likes and all the followers I was getting, like I don't know, like I would have zero money because that would probably be really expensive because I was getting some crazy views on my videos, which I'm so thankful for. And so I hit about 600 something, and then I'm now at about 740 something. I think 748 maybe, and 748,000, is a very large number, and especially whenever you think about that as like, most of them are probably photographers or a creative that is like interested in photography. And so whenever you have that many eyes on you, that is crazy. Like if I think about it too hard, it makes my stomach hurt. And while I think about that and ponder on that, I'm taking a little drink of water because my mouth is already dry from chatting it up. Okay, water secured. So we hit that big number, and that really did, like, it changed my life. And it took a while because you hit 100K and all your friends are like, are people blowing you up? Like, are all these brands like trying to reach out to you and talk to you and all that stuff? And I'm like, well, actually, no, that's not happening. Um, and it doesn't happen like that because most of the time a brand, especially one that you want to work with, is not going to reach out to you because you had one video blow up. They're going to find you for that video, and then they are going to, watch you, and they're going to follow you, make sure they can trust you, make sure they like the stuff you're putting out. And then after a few months, they'll reach out and they'll be like, "We're really interested in you. We've been seeing your stuff." But it's not likely for them just, for you to have one video blow up and they're like on you like that. At least for me, that wasn't the case. So it took a few months, but I'm so blessed. The very first company that ever reached out to me to, have a legit collaboration and like do stuff together is Nikon, which is absolutely crazy and insane because I have used a Nikon camera. That was the first camera I got whenever I graduated high school. So for them, it's so full circle for them to come and, hit up my DMs literally and be like, "We would love to like chat and like get some stuff in your hands and, like let's work together." And now I've built a wonderful connection with Nikon, and I absolutely love them even more than I already did. I have direct names and people that I have like and faces that I know that work there, and now friends. I'm able to text couple of them and be like, "Hey, so like blah 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 blah," just like talking about different things of life. Even the cover of the podcast, picture this. I sent it over to my friend that works at Icon, and I was like, "Okay, give me your opinion. Which one do you like?" But it's just really cool that like this is where I'm at right now. And since I've kind of blown up on social media and I've been able to create a little community and a following, I've been able to work with Nikon. I've worked with Adobe Photoshop, which is crazy. I've worked with Godox. I've worked with SanDisk, Best Buy, which is crazy. I'm sorry, I keep saying which is crazy, but like I'm still in shock by it. And I'm still just so thankful for it. I have also worked with Aftershoot and Pick Time. So lots of brands. I'm hoping to get more into like the lifestyle brands, and like I would love to work with like Walmart because Walmart headquarters is like less than an hour drive from where I live. So like Walmart, let's do something. But yeah, it's just been so crazy. And since all this has happened, I've opened a studio, which is where I'm sitting in now, Slate Studios. Um, I'm trying to think what else has happened. So many things have happened and I'm so blessed, and I can't take it for granted. I have to wake up every single morning with gratitude and just being like, I am thankful for XYZ, because I never want it to get old and I never want it to become a routine where I'm like, well, I'm doing this week, but I'm just like, it's like a pinch me moment. So if you have known me before all of this has happened, thank you for staying around. And I hope and I pray that I stay true to myself and I'm still the same Preston that you know me before. So yeah, wow, not to get a little sentimental there. I already got sentimental like this last week when I posted a video. It was like, actually, we're gonna talk about that real quick. It was a letter, like you go to coffee with your old self, and I'm actually going to read what it said because honestly, this video got me in my feels this week. So it says, I met my younger self for coffee. Oh, there's the audio. So it says, I met my younger self for coffee. We both arrived 10 minutes late. Some things never change. Respectfully, I'm always running slightly behind. I will text and be like, hey, I'm running late, but I can't. I mean, I could help it. I probably could, but I always just think I have more time than I really do. And what also gets me tied up is I think that where I'm going is a shorter drive than it actually is. And so I'm like, I can get there in 5 minutes. Really, my studio is 15 minutes and it always has been 15 minutes, but I'm like, I can get there in five. And that's what gets me messed up. So, anyways, I show up late. He didn't recognize me because I'm 250 pounds lighter. I haven't talked about that yet, but that's true. And he ordered a frappe. You know, I ordered an iced latte, of course. And let's see, he told me he bought his first camera to pay for college. I told him we are now working for that same camera brand, which is Nikon. And then let's see, he asks if I will be single forever. I tell him that's a great question. We've learned to love ourselves, but the right person will hopefully come. Yes, definitely. I'm definitely single right now, but I have been in a big season of, you have to learn yourself before you can love someone else. And so I think I've been like tested. So we'll see what happens. But that is that for now. We'll close that conversation down. Let's see here. He tells me everyone is making fun of him for posting on social media, and I tell him we have hundreds of thousands of friends craving new content from us, which is crazy because I used to get. I hate the word bullied because was it bullied or was it teased? But I used to get made fun of, and people would be like, even not, I don't want to say my family made fun of me, but my family was like, oh, here we are posting another whatever, whether it was a photo shoot or anything. And I'm like, look at it now though. Like there are so many people, and I built a community, that like would love, just to learn. And it's just so crazy. That's a full circle moment. And it's really cool because it shows, you can, if you put your mind and your heart behind something, look what happens, and you're consistent. And so, yeah. So, and then it just ends with he started to tear up and couldn't believe it. And I hope we meet again for coffee because I hope, 10 years from now, I'm able to look back at where I'm at right now and, reflect and be like, where am I at in 10 years? Like, what am I doing in 10 years? Am I still doing all of this? Or am I retired? Actually, retired in 10 years is crazy because I'm only 27, but that would be insane. But what am I doing? Yeah, what am I going to be doing in 10 years? Also, if you're watching this, I have my handy dandy phone because I need to look at my outline so I stay on task because I'm a rambler and I don't want to ramble off topic too hard. So, we talked about my photo journey kind of a little bit. We talked about social media and how I, have kind of blown up on social media and built a little bit of a community. And so also, I mentioned this whenever I was reading that video, but I have a really big transformation story, a fitness transformation story. I used to be 200, let's see here. That's a lie. I used to be 454 pounds. That was my largest weight. And so I weighed 454 pounds. And since then, I have lost over 250 pounds, which is absolutely insane to think about that I have lost more than what I weigh now. Wow, that's actually crazy. I've never said that like out loud, but I have lost more weight than what I weigh right now, which is crazy. That's so crazy. Um, and so I'm trying to decide if I really want to go into a little deep dive into it right now, or if I want to hold off and just do a whole episode about that. Maybe just kind of like briefly hit it, but I've always struggled with my weight since I was little. Like I remember being in middle school and like the guys and would I would like be look at them and I'd be like, what size shirt do you have? Because I'm definitely not wearing the same shirt as you, because they're in like mediums and maybe a large and I'm in like a 2X or an XL. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, what in the world? And so I was always big, and I got big and bigger and different things, whether it was mental struggles or comfort. I kind of lost myself, but here we are. I have found a love for fitness. I have found a love for, healthy lifestyles, and I love to talk about it. And I love to almost coach. I don't coach anyone like actively, but I think it would be a great I would think it would be a great thing for me to find someone to coach, because I'm coaching whoever's listening or watching this, because I'm very passionate about fitness now and would love to continue to talk about it to whoever wants to and whoever is curious about it. Yeah, I'm going to go into a full just story about it on a whole nother podcast episode, because I believe it just needs its own moment, and it's a lot. So yeah. So there's that fitness, and then I definitely like am a lover of like fashion. And so I have like been that go-to person for such a long time. All of my friends, all of my family, and everyone in between that knows me on a personal level is always asking me like, "Hey, what do I wear for this?" or "What do I wear for that?" And I love being that person. I'm like, let me give you my opinion. I'm always keeping up on like the newest trends and all the stuff. So I love fashion. If you're curious, my favorite places right now to shop would have to be, I love Abercrombie. Abercrombie is great. I also just rediscovered Hollister. I was kind of turned off of Hollister for a really long time, because whenever I was in middle school and junior high, it was like I could never fit in Hollister clothes. So I was never like into Hollister. And then I realized just recently that they have kind of changed their ways for sure. And also, Hollister is like the cheaper version of Abercrombie, in my opinion. Like they have this very similar stuff. Maybe they are owned by the same people. I have no idea, but I love Abercrombie, love Hollister. I also love shopping at Zara. And I used to really heavily shop at ASOS. That's just ASOS, all caps. Because some people don't know, have never heard of that before. Because it's kind of the one that I'm like, huh? That's what people usually say whenever I say ASOS. So those are kind of my tops, I feel like. I'm trying to think. All of my jeans are from Abercrombie. I have one pair from ASOS. I'm one pair from Zara. I'm sorry. I'm trying to think. I love New Balance shoes. I also love Adidas shoes. And I've been loving a boot recently. I have like two or three pairs, but I love a boot. I have different brands, and I can give you my opinion on either brand. I have some very expensive shoes and I have some very cheap shoes. So I can tell you if it's worth it for this shoe or not that shoe. So, anyways, that's another deep dive. I could deep dive so many different ways on so many different things. But I think this podcast is going to be great, because it's going to be able to kind of break this surface level of, you're able to, if you follow me on Instagram or you follow me on TikTok, you're able to see my BTS content, some of my stories, and that's really cool. But you're not able to really like hear from me like as a person, or you're not able to get the background of like what I was thinking when I did this, or just like hear my thoughts. And not that you not that you necessarily need to hear my thoughts, but it's really good just like as a community builder. And so I really like this is like a really big thing for me, is that like, yes, all those things are that I was mentioning before are things that I'm going to be talking about in this podcast. But also, like, I want this podcast to be something that like you are excited for, because I'm talking about things that you want to listen to. So I'm definitely going to be opening up. I'm going to find the best way. By the next episode, I should have it all figured out, but I'm going to be opening up and having like ways for you to submit like for advice columns. I'm not saying I have the best advice always ever, but I always have an opinion. So that's what my friend Cassidy always says. I'm like, hey, I need an opinion. I'm like, hey, I needed an opinion. And she's like, oh, I always have one of those for you. So, um, I would love to figure out how to do call-ins. So if you know how to do like a call in and it be like secure for everyone involved, that would be really cool because it'd be cool for you guys to be able to hear like the question. But if not, then we'll just do like a form submission. And at the end of like all the episodes, I can answer and do some advice, whether it's answering questions about like my business or photography or, hey, my boyfriend is doing XYZ, help him or whatever. I'd be like, all right, here's what you need to do. Here's how you should dress him. But I would just love to I would just love it to be more personalized and for people to be able to feel like, oh, is he gonna like talk about like what I asked this week or not? So another big goal for this podcast is I of course am here chatting it up, which I can do, but I also want to bring on some really cool guests. I feel like I have a lot of good connections from a lot of different people in a lot of different industries. So, I would love to bring on some guests from all different walks of life to talk about, someone's businesses or their content or their life and just different stuff. So, I would love to hear, a creator or someone that you would like to hear from, and I can work on getting them here. Not promising that I'd get them here, but I can definitely work on it and see what I can do. And I'm really excited for guests on this podcast. From where I live, it's going to be really hard to get some of them in person. So some of them are actually, a lot of them are going to have to be like streamed in like video call, which is totally fine. But when I travel, because I do travel a lot, I want to be able to connect with some creatives and, film podcasts while I'm traveling. So not all podcasts will be in the studio. Let's do some quick life updates before I kind of end this episode. This episode was really just for me to kind of like introduce myself, give you like kind of my ideas of this podcast, and then, we'll run from there. So let's do a little life update. It is currently February. So it's February right now. I have just got back about a week and a half to 2 weeks ago from Imaging USA, which is a photo conference. I was able to speak with Nikon, and that was really, really cool. That was my first time ever doing a conference like that with that many photographers present. So I spoke at that. I did a panel, and then I hosted a photo walk. A photo walk is whenever I have a model with me, my camera, and then they as in photographers are able to sign up and show up at this photo walk, and then they can like watch me work, and then they can hop in and take photos. Like I'll take photos after I explain what I'm doing, and we kind of just go back and forth, and it's a really cool way for them to learn what I'm doing and how I do it if they're interested about what I'm doing. So I just did that. I am actually about to do another one of those called WPPI. I will be there in March. But before that, whoa, let's back that up. Because I'm actually going to Dallas tomorrow. I forgot about that. I'm going to Dallas tomorrow for a conference, and that's only a few days, so that won't last too long. But it's also supposed to snow like 15 inches or something. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like 15 inches is crazy, first of all, but it's supposed to snow like 15 inches while we're gone. And so I'm hoping I don't come home to a bunch of like nastiness. And also I hope nothing bad happens while I'm gone. We're going to knock on wood. There we go. We're going to knock on wood so nothing happens. And so I'm going to Dallas and for a couple days for a conference. And then let's see, we go into March. And so in March, I'm speaking at my friend Alex's workshop called Photo Camp. I'm speaking at that in March. And so that's in South Carolina, Charleston. And I actually go from Charleston to Vegas, which is where WPPI is, and that's what I was talking about, WPPI. And so I go from Charleston to Vegas all in like the span of like 13 days. So it's going to be a long trip. I probably will be exhausted. I'm also going to have to find like some IVs, just get some of my fluids in me so I don't get sick, because I went to Miami a few weeks ago for a workshop that I hosted with Nikon, and it was really cool. The workshop itself was amazing, but I got really sick. And I got so sick right after it. Like when I tell you I got sick, I don't get sick often. I got so sick that I was looking on my phone of like short like flying home early from Miami. And so it was like so expensive. It was like it was going to be $400 to change my flight to go home early. And I was like, you know what? I guess I'm going to be sick in Miami instead of sick at home. So I toughened it out, but that was honestly one of the worst experiences of my life. Being sick and like traveling sick, don't even get me started on that. I was breaking my fever on the plane. I was so sweaty and so gross. I luckily was not sitting next to anyone, so I didn't feel bad about getting anyone sick, but it was bad. But we're all better now. I feel like that's it for, this first episode. I feel like it was a really good, just like a small get to know me. I'll obviously, open up and talk more about myself if whatever you want to know, in the upcoming episodes. I'm going to have a Instagram story highlight that's dedicated to this podcast. So if you go to my Instagram, you look at my highlights, look for the picture, this highlight, and I'm going to have different information, whenever I figure out, how to submit questions for, the advice, that I'll have that information there. And then if I have episode, if I need help for a topic for an episode or anything, I'll have it all on there, and I'll be posting it to my Instagram story all the time, hopefully. So definitely keep your eyes peeled for that. And I think that's it. I don't want to hold you any longer than I have to. I really appreciate you for listening. If you've listened this far, listen, do me the biggest favor, please rate this podcast, give it 5 stars. It helps push. Whenever you rate a podcast, it actually helps. It helps push it to new people, and it shows that you're interested, and people are interested in this podcast. So it's gonna push it out to more eyes, and more people can find me, and hopefully join this little family that we're gonna get started. And so scroll down, give this little podcast a 5-star review. I would greatly appreciate it. Until next time, picture this podcast. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to find a really good closer, but I don't have it in my head yet. But until next time, we'll see you. Bye now.